A Grammy Award nominee has just posted bail on criminal threat charges. Chris Brown is accused of assault and battery. Neither he nor his girlfriend, singer Rihanna, showed up at tonight's award show. KCAL9's Soraya Fidel live now at the Mid-Wilshire LAPD station with the breaking details. Soraya?
Welcome to Unsolicited, where I give my opinions on things that nobody asked me about. Now, do y'all remember 2009 when Chris Brown got arrested and charged for felony assault after he physically abused his girlfriend at the time, Rihanna? And then when everyone saw this photo of Rihanna, Chris Brown became public enemy number one, and everyone and their mama's mom was hating on Chris Brown? Yeah, I do too. Let's talk about it. All right, so let's start from the beginning. Chris and Rihanna met in December 2005 at the Z100 Jingle Ball in Madison Square Garden, and then they became friends. After the success of Rihanna's hit song Umbrella, Chris recorded a remix to it called Cinderella and even performed the song with her live on tour, and everyone could see their chemistry. For a while, they maintained the narrative that they were simply just friends. As time went on, they were always being photographed together on vacations, at clubs, just out and about, and it became very obvious that they were in a relationship.
He was definitely my first big love. We just fell really fast. The more in love we became, the more dangerous we became for each other, equally as dangerous, because it was a bit of an obsession.
Chris and Rihanna being together was a big deal for the music industry. At the time, the two artists were huge rising stars. It was around Rihanna's Good Girl Gone Bad era. Umbrella was a huge hit. It was number one on the Billboard charts for 10 weeks. This was the time when she was really trying to step away from that island girl from Barbados vibe and really step into a new look and sound. Some of the other hits from this era were Shut Up and Drive, Hate That I Love You, and Don't Stop the Music. She even won her first Grammy for Umbrella in 2008. Chris was also on the come up during this time. He was doing a lot of acting. He had a hit song with Jordan Sparks called No Air. He released his album Exclusive. And at the end of 2008, Billboard named him Artist of the Year. The two of them were talented, young, rich, and very successful. They were a power couple, and to the public eye, they were perfection. However, their relationship was far from perfect. The infamous February 2009 incident was actually not the first time things turned physical between Chris and Rihanna. In 2008, on a trip to Europe, allegedly, Rihanna slapped Chris, which led to him shoving her into a wall. Again, in 2009, on a trip to Barbados, they got into an argument and Chris ended up smashing the windows of their rental car. Allegedly.
It would be fights, it would be verbal fights, physical fights as well, mutual sides, and this is the first time I get to say anything. And like I said, I still love Rihanna, but I'm just gonna be honest. We would fight each other, she would hit me, I would hit her. But it never was okay.
Both Chris and Rihanna are no strangers to domestic violence, as they both grew up seeing abuse in their households. Chris's mother was abused by his stepfather, and Rihanna's father was also violent toward her mother. All of this violence led up to February 8th, 2009. Chris and Rihanna were scheduled to perform at the Grammys that year, but their performance ended up being canceled the day of. There was a lot of speculation about what happened, but it was later revealed that Chris and Rihanna had an argument the night before that led to Chris hitting Rihanna. She was left with a busted lip, black eyes, and bruises everywhere. This photo of Rihanna was actually leaked to the press by an LAPD officer named Rebecca Reyes, who decided that a check was more important than human decency. The night of the incident, Chris and Rihanna went to Clive Davis's pre-Grammy gala, and one of Chris's exes was there. Rihanna was upset, but as the night went on, they had fun, she let it go, and they left the party. This is Chris and Rihanna at a gas station moments before the brutal attack.
You cleaning up on the Grammys?
According to the police report, Rihanna and Chris were in the car, and Rihanna grabbed Chris's phone and saw a text from his ex that they had saw at the party, which led her to believe that he knew that she was going to be there, and they got into an argument, and Chris put his hands on her.
She looks at the phone and there's a message and it says, kill the Grammys, do your thing. And I didn't read the rest of the message, I didn't open it. So she opened the message and the rest of the message said, I'll see you at the Clive party. So all thought she thought I was lying. She starts going off, she throws the phone, I hate you, whatever. Starts hitting me, we're in a little Lamborghini.
I caught him in LA, and he wouldn't tell the truth, so I wouldn't drop it.
These are direct quotes from the police report describing the incident. Rihanna is referred to as Robin in the report because if you didn't know, her full legal name is Robin Rihanna Fenty. A verbal argument ensued and Brown pulled the car over on an unknown street, reached over Robin with his right hand, opened the car door, and attempted to force her out. Brown was unable to force Robin out of the vehicle because she was wearing a seatbelt. When he could not force her to exit, he took his right hand and shoved her head against the passenger window of the vehicle. Robin turned to face Brown and he punched her in the left eye with his right hand. He then drove away in the vehicle and continued to punch Robin in her face with his right hand while steering the vehicle with his left hand.
You know, she's fighting me and I'm like, look, I'm telling you the truth, I swear to God. You know, I'm telling you the truth, stop it. So then she hits me a couple more times and I just kind of it doesn't go from translation to let's sit down, I'm telling you the truth. It goes to now I'm finna be mean and be evil.
Brown looked at Robin and stated, I'm going to beat the out of you when we get home. You wait and see. Robin picked up her phone and tried to call her personal assistant, Jennifer, who didn't answer, but while the voicemail greeting was playing, she said to her, I'm on my way home. Make sure the cops are there when I get there. After Robin faked the call, Brown looked at her and said, you just did the stupidest thing ever. Now I'm really going to kill you. Robin then attempted to send a text message to her other personal assistant, Melissa, and then Brown snatched the phone out of her hand and threw it out of the window onto an unknown street. He stopped the vehicle in the Hancock Park neighborhood of Los Angeles, and Robin turned off the car, removed the key from the ignition, and sat on it. He then placed her in a headlock position.
She takes the keys out of the car. I'm in park. She takes the keys out of the car and throws fakes like she throws them out the window. And I'm like, what are you doing? And I get out the car. When I get out the car, I'm looking for the keys in somebody's yard. And she yells out her door, help, he's trying to kill me. So I'm looking for the keys. She's sitting on the keys. So I'm like, you know what? I can't play this game with you. So I'm getting my bags out of the car. And I was like, you know what? You got the keys. You can drive home. By this time, her lip was busted. She had a knot because I pushed her head up against the window.
He began applying pressure to Robin's left and right carotid arteries, causing her to be unable to breathe, and she began to lose consciousness. She reached up with her left hand and began attempting to gouge his eyes out in an attempt to free herself. Brown bit her left ring and middle fingers and then released her. While Brown continued to punch her, she brought her knees to her chest, placed her feet against Brown's body, and began pushing him away. Robin began screaming for help, and Brown exited the vehicle and walked away. And then a neighbor ended up calling 911 after they heard Rihanna screaming for help. And then the next day, Chris turned himself into the police.
I look back at that picture and I'm just like, yo, bro, like, that's not me, bro. That's not me. I hated myself, you know, so I was thinking about suicide and everything else.
He was charged with 2 counts of felony assault, and he accepted a plea deal of community service, 5 years of probation, and domestic violence counseling.
What is your training?
Chris Brown.
Your attorney has advised the court that you wish to enter a plea of guilty to that charge. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
He would be required to serve 180 days in county jail or the equivalent of labor, as the court has indicated.
After Chris was arrested, he was getting dropped left and right, and it really had a major impact on his career. He lost a major endorsement deal with Wrigley, which is the company that makes Double Mint gum. His songs were being pulled off the radio. Radio stations were getting calls and calls from angry people talking about they want Chris Brown off of the radio immediately. His performance at the NBA All-Star Game was canceled, and even Sesame Street pulled his episode off the air. Even Elmo didn't want no parts. After the restraining order was dropped, Chris and Rihanna were on and off again for a little bit, but the pain of the memories of the abuse were just too much for Rihanna to handle, and they broke up. After the trial came to a close, Chris posted an apology video on YouTube, which was not a good look for him because the video looks very scripted and just did not come across as genuine.
Hi, I'm Chris Brown. Since February, my attorney has advised me not to speak out, even though ever since the incident I wanted to publicly express my deepest regret and accept full responsibility. Although I would do some interviews and answer some questions in the future, I felt it was time that you heard directly from me that I am sorry. I have tried to live my life in a way which can make those around me proud of me, and until recently, I think I was doing a pretty good job. I wish I had the chance to live those few moments again, but unfortunately I can't. I cannot go into what happened, and most importantly, I'm not going to sit here and make any excuses. I take great pride in me being able to exercise self-control, and what I did was inexcusable. I am very sad and very ashamed of what I've done. My mother and my spiritual teachers have taught me way better than that.
In November of 2009, Rihanna sat down with Diane Sawyer to discuss what she had been through.
How did you think it was going to end?
Shh. That's all I kept thinking the whole time. When is it going to stop? When is it going to stop? He had no no soul in his eyes. Just blank. He was clearly blacked out. There was no person when I looked at him. I was battered. I was bleeding. I was swollen in my face. There was no way of me getting home, except for my next option was to get out of the car and start walking in a gown and a bloody face.
Do you hate him?
No, I don't hate him at all. I actually love and care about him, and I think I'm concerned about him doing well. I want him to do well, have a great career, have a great life, and grow up, and just take this as something that you had to go through to grow up and learn.
Things started to look up for Chris in 2010 when he performed a Michael Jackson tribute at the BET Awards, and he got down on his knees and he started crying, and the audience really felt for him. Eventually, Chris reached a point where he was sick and tired of apologizing. In a 2011 interview with Robin Roberts, Chris refused to speak about the situation and became so enraged that he smashed a window in his dressing room and stormed out shirtless.
And thank you for sitting down for just a moment before. It's all about the music. Your fans are here, but you have been very good about talking with me a little bit about this, because we've gone through it and talked about it when I went to your home. What's going on now is that recently the restraining order against you that Rihanna had issued has been relaxed. Have you all? You can go to events and be in the same room. Have you all seen each other? Been around each other?
I mean, not really. I mean, it's not really a big deal to me now as far as that situation. I think I'm past that in my life, and I think today is the album day, so that's what I'm focused on. So everybody go get that album.
Fame, F-A-M-E.
Yeah.
What does that stand for?
Fame, forgiving all my enemies, and definitely fans are my everything. And that meaning, like, you know, being able to go through everything I went through and show my fans that I love them, you know. That's what it is, and fans are my everything.
When you say forgive all your enemies, who do you consider your enemies?
Just anybody, naysayers, haters, whatever the case may be. I just think, you know, being positive and promoting that is what I'm about now, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, but you can understand how some people, you know, what that was very serious. What you went through and what happened and even the judge, though, afterwards said that you had served your time as far as the community service and that and moving on. But have you been able to? How have you been able to?
I've been focusing on this album. You know, I think this album is what, you know, I want people to hear and want people to really get into. So definitely this album is what I want them to talk about, and not the stuff that happened 2 years ago.
I understand that. I understand that.
Well, after the interview, Brown performed as scheduled, but he stormed off stage when he was done performing. ABC reports that the show's hair and makeup staff called security because they heard loud noises coming from Brown's dressing room. A window in Brown's dressing room was smashed, and that caused shattered glass to fall onto the street below in Times Square. Brown then reportedly blew off his next scheduled performance at ABC, ripped off his shirt, and left the building.
This is only one incident in Chris's long list of violent outbursts and run-ins with the police. In 2012, he had a fight with Drake and his entourage at a club, and bottles were thrown. This fight was allegedly over Rihanna. He was arrested for assault again in 2013 after he and his bodyguard got into a fight with two men after Chris refused to take a picture with them. Also in 2013, Chris got into a fight with singer Frank Ocean where he allegedly yelled homophobic slurs at him. He was also involved in a hit-and-run accident that led to a judge giving him 1,000 more community service hours. Chris even had to go to jail for a while after violating his probation. Honestly, Chris has had so many legal problems that I think I'm going to do a whole nother video about him because it's just a whole lot of. Anyways, Rihanna has forgiven Chris and was able to move past the situation. She sat down with Oprah in 2012, 3 years after the incident, to discuss how she was doing and how she felt about Chris.
Felt like he made that mistake because he needed help, and like, who's gonna help him? Nobody's gonna say he needs help. Everybody's gonna say he's a monster without looking at the source. And I was more concerned about him.
That is really powerful.
Around 2012, 2013, Chris and Rihanna actually got back together, which was met with some more backlash because people just could not understand how Rihanna could take him back after what he did to her. When asked about their relationship in an interview with Rolling Stone, Rihanna said, "I decided it was more important for me to be happy. I wasn't going to let anybody's opinion get in the way of that. Even if it's a mistake, it's my mistake." She went on to say, "It's different now. We don't have those type of arguments anymore. We talk about things, we value each other, we know exactly what we have now, and we don't want to lose that." During the time that Chris and Rihanna got back together, they were actually involved in a love triangle with Karrueche Tran. Apparently, Chris was with Karrueche at the time and ended up dropping her for Rihanna.
Did he tell you he was dealing with her?
Yeah.
He did?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't
And did
know.
he tell her he was dealing with you? You don't know.
I don't know.
And when he told you he was dealing with her, you said okay?
Yes, because I was under the impression that it was a friend type of, not a friend, but it wasn't what it became to be.
Well, what was the truth you knew that you didn't tell?
I knew I didn't want to believe it.
When Chris and Rihanna broke up again, there was speculation that it had something to do with Karrueche, but it was never really confirmed. Allegedly, the two broke up because they had other problems that they just couldn't resolve. A source told Hollywood Life that Rihanna wanted to take things to the next step with Chris, but he didn't show any interest in wifing her up, so she dipped. But who knows if that's even true. Throughout the years, Chris and Rihanna have remained cordial. Chris even commented on Rihanna's Instagram in 2018, which sent the internet into a frenzy. Nonetheless, Rihanna has moved on and has achieved great success in music and with her beauty and fashion brands. Chris has also released several albums since the 2009 incident and has also achieved great success with his music. And he is now the father of 2 children, Royalty and Aiko. So that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you like this video, like, comment, do all the things that YouTubers be telling people to do. And yeah, bye!